programming you are about to hear may include some information that is inappropriate or disturbing for minors. The statements, information, and opinions expressed by guests doesn't necessarily reflect the views of the Pop Odyssey Radio Network, its staff members, hosts, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
That Hitler is dead. I don't think there is a fancy way to say that I have sinned.
Historian from Clear Lake, Iowa. 3 of the nation's top rock and roll singing stars, Richie Valens, J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, and Buddy Holly died today with their pilot in the crash of a chartered plane.
Welcome to Pop Odyssey Radio. Radio that teeters on the very edge of pop controversial. Join us as we explore the strange and unusual, the mysterious and bizarre, and the unexpected and unexplained of the most prolific and profound cases of rock and roll, pop culture, and the entertainment industry. And now, your hosts, Stephen Wren, and author and rock historian extraordinaire, R. Gary Patterson.
And welcome to another episode of Pop Odyssey Radio, right here on the Pop Odyssey Radio Network. It's Tuesday, October 4th. Tonight, Aaron C. Hanson will be joining us. We're going to be talking about predictions, remote viewing, the world economic situation, the 2012 presidential election. That ought to be interesting, Gary.
If you want to it will, yeah. Yeah. It should be good.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you want to check out our guest website, Aaron C. Hanson, check him out at thepropheticlight.com. This is amazing stuff. You can see his predictions on there. This man delves in just about everything as far as the economy and finance and weather and, we're going to get into Nostradamus' lost book tonight. Name it, we're going to try to squeeze it in there tonight, Gary. But if anybody wants to call with any comments or questions during tonight's live broadcast, you can reach us at 615-866-1323 or toll free at 888-375-3123. Gary, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's been a busy day for me, Gary. A really busy day. I told you briefly, I'm working on building this website. I was hired to build this website for a friend's son, actually. And it was going great, having some database issues. And so I was working with a programmer out of Russia, of all places.
Okay.
And I don't know, Gary. I can't tell you how many times. I'm surprised I still have hair left on my head because I pulled on it so much today, just about screaming at the computer. But if I had a boat, I probably would have flown over to the East Coast and just rowed across and taken care of this myself. But
back in the USSR.
Yeah. And on top of that, I found out today when I was working on bills and all the other wonderful things that we do in our lives that I lost my driver's license and my credit card. Do you have any idea what a pain in the is to replace those, Gary?
I would say it would be very much of a pain because I had a wallet stolen and I had to go in and replace my driver's license and all that. So, I feel your pain. I know exactly all about it.
But other than that, it's been a good day, Gary.
Other than that, yeah. Well,
it's been a great day. I mean, I've been up and running and doing this nonstop since probably about 5 o'clock this morning. So it's been a.
So you're saying if you sort of pass out tonight, just keep going?
No,
right?
I'm pumped, man. I'm full of energy tonight. I don't know what it is. Better than normal, actually. So,
no Bailey's time then, huh?
No, I haven't touched the Baileys in a long time, Gary.
Oh, okay.
I think it's time to just retire Bailey's from the conversation until I bring it back in again. Maybe I'll have to do that the next time Christian comes on, since he loves to give me a hard time about that.
Yeah, well, he's really good at giving hard times to things. He doesn't take any pity on anyone, does he?
Well, not typically. I know he doesn't with me. Well, I immediately.
But that's what we expect. That's what we love.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we wouldn't expect any different from Christian. Yeah. I immediately, as soon as we hit the live button, I turn into the princess, and you're the old hippie, and
that's right.
It's a roller coaster ride for 2 hours, but it's a great night because it's a night for us to sit back, kick back, put our feet up, and just say our 2 lines, and you laugh in between. And
yeah, I have a good.
That's
laugh.
about it. That's about all we do. But speaking of Christian, Thursday night he'll be back with his Live from Hollywood. So if anybody, our listeners out there, I know it's a popular download, he'll be back with new material Thursday night. And if you've not heard the Live from Hollywood episodes before, make sure you tune in and check it out because it is, it's Christian style. And I'll just leave it at that. They just need to tune in and listen because, it's original, it's unique, and it's most of the time I'm sitting here laughing behind the microphone even though mine's muted.
Yeah, well, I've been known to mute mine as well, as you know.
Yeah, we have a few times, actually.
Mm-hmm, we actually do. We have such a good time. I mean, if everybody could see what we do, it'd be probably not as... Well, I don't know. I think they'd have fun watching what we do on a lot of this because it is kind of fun, how
sure
we do things and chat back and forth while things are going on. But our guests are extremely informative, and we have a good time with that. And I'm expecting that tonight.
Well, it is, Gary. I mean, this is a very intelligent gentleman we've got coming on with us tonight, and like I said, I mean, you're going to hear. I mean, it's out there. I mean, this guy does remote viewing and predictions on politics and economy, and I know he does a lot of his business in stocks and even some in the lottery. So it's really interesting stuff, And I guess you would label Aaron as psychic, in his own sense. But I've heard him refer to a prophetic sense versus a psychic sense. We'll have to get that clarified tonight. I've heard him talk about that before. So I think it's interesting stuff, but it'll be a good show tonight. I think it'll be real good.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And you say he gives tips on the lottery?
Well, I don't know how deep he gets into that. I know on his website, if you go to the propheticlight.com, he's actually got like a Japanese lottery number thing there. I mean, it was way beyond me, but I don't know, maybe people in Japan understand that, or he's probably listening to this right now thinking, my God, this guy's an idiot. He can't understand the numbers I'm putting on my website. But no, I tried to make sense of it, but I was like, my God. I mean, but it's really interesting stuff, and we're going to get into a lot of different levels tonight, so it'll be interesting. And while I'm thinking about it, Gary, today we'll have to say another happy birthday to Belle Salisbury, one of our network psychics. It is her birthday today. And when I was going back, Christian had his birthday last Thursday, and then this coming Thursday, our other psychic, Derek White Sky Cloud, has a birthday coming.
Wow, just weeks of each other,
yeah,
huh?
Well, yeah, all within a week of one another. All Libras at that.
Well, the third sight, the tricycles, the tricycles.
Yeah.
So we can do that. That was good. I mean, maybe happy birthday, Belle.
Yeah, happy birthday, Belle, Christian, Derek. And I'm not sure what Annette Martin's birthday is, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if she fell into the Libra category also. Maybe there's some kind of correlation there between psychics and Libras. I know a bit about Libras, but...
well, I'm a Virgo, so that leaves me out.
Well, the Libra sign has some correlations to the Virgo, Gary.
Yeah, well, I know that, but I was just thinking, that sort of leaves me out as far as that. It's like being 27 when you're killed and join the club. You got to be 27. So that's it. Not, everything's cool. We can handle that. But happy birthday to Belle for sure. And I know Derek next week, all this will be set up, so that'll be good. And, it's just good to be with them and listening to Christian do Live from Hollywood. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of great stories next week. Matter of fact, there was one I was thinking about asking him, but I'll have to think about it before Thursday. Sort of slipped my mind.
It's not Charlie Sheen again, is it?
No, I've been off Charlie Sheen. That's Christian's thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something about a show, so I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of curious what he thinks about the X Factor.
Well, yeah, he gets into Simon Cowell, the X Factor. I've heard him talk about that a few different times, so I'm sure that'll be some material, and I'm sure he's listening tonight, even though he's being very quiet tonight, Gary. But,
he is. Well, he's getting his energy ready for Thursday.
Yeah. Well, if he gets in one of his laughing spells again, then he's going to need every bit of it for this week. He's going to need to build it up and just relinquish it all at one time, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a very interesting and informative show. So we'll look at that and have some fun. So that'll be good.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to send this very warm welcome to all of our listeners scattered across the U.S. tonight and Canada. We've got you tuned in from quite a bit of places. Aaron C. Hanson has quite a following, Gary, and our chat room is actually quite active. And everybody, if you don't want to call in tonight, feel free to post your comments there in chat on the main page at popodysseyradio.com, and we'll do our very best to try and get those questions on the air. But we can't always get to all of them, so if you don't see us respond right away, just keep trying back, or just call in. We'll be happy to take your call and ask Aaron some questions tonight, because this is going to be some interesting stuff. So everyone stay tuned. We're going to get our guest line, Aaron C. Hanson. Check him out at thepropheticlight.com. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back from the commercial break. It's 18 minutes past the hour. If you want to call with any comments or questions tonight for tonight's guest, 615-866-1323, or toll free to 888-375-3123. And make sure you check out Aaron C. Hanson's website, thepropheticlight.com. Incredible stuff. But Aaron, joining us tonight, is a psychic and remote viewer. He was featured on the In Search of TV documentary remake. He's also been able to locate missing individuals with his remote viewing abilities. He's appeared on an episode of Psychic Spies. You might have even heard him on Coast to Coast AM. Amazingly, he's done well with this building, both the stock market and the lottery. Again, check out his website at thepropheticlight.com. Aaron, welcome to Pop Odyssey Radio.
Hey, it's an honor to be here. And, wow, I'm here, I guess I'm talking to everybody here in the South. That's,
yeah.
I think
yeah,
that's really something. I love the South. I love it. I like your weather, too. I'm tucked away up here in the mountains, and I just stoked my boiler here with anthracite coal. And let me tell you, I'm nice and comfortable right now, but it's cold outside, and I'm very much in tune with the suffering that's going on out there with all the bad economy and so on. So this thing that I'm doing with numbers and the stock market is relevant. Got something to say about it.
Great.
So now, if you want, I can begin with what everybody wants to know. I suppose everybody would like to know what is remote viewing, in case you haven't been familiar with this. This is a means by which I can access information outside of normal states of awareness or normal levels of awareness. And it's a systematic means by which this is being done. Some people, and I believe everybody, is born with innate ability to be psychic, to see things. And, you know, a mother knows when a child is in trouble. Everybody's had these transient moments by which they know something that they wouldn't normally be able to perceive. They have it confirmed that they have a way of seeing into life in ways that isn't considered to be normal. And so this is psychic functioning. Everybody's born with certain degrees of it. I was born with an extreme degree of it, and I couldn't escape it. And essentially, later on, I was classically trained to remote view, and here I am now. I've taken this way beyond remote viewing. I've advanced it to a stage where I can access non-historical sources of information as well as historical sources of information, which is primarily what remote viewing was very good at doing. It's not very good at assessing a future. So I advanced this in order to do so, and I applied to the stock market. I invested in gold 2007, 2008, 2009. Recently, I've removed myself from gold, but this information technique has allowed me to invest in gold at the right time, and it has allowed me to get out of gold at the right time. In fact, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if you got money in the stock market, get out.
Yeah.
Now, you better hold it in cash right now. Right now, I'm telling you. I've been looking at this market, and I've been very accurate in my predictions. Now is a good time to get out of the market and wait for that bottom, because it's coming. It's going to be hard on you. I know you're going to have up days and down days in the markets, but right now, get out of gold, get into cash, and if you are going to get into the stock market, I still have some investments out there, DRR, which is an ETF. You can bet against the euro when the moment's right, but you have to understand what you're doing. Talk to your broker. I don't sell this information, and you need to do your research because you can lose every dime you have if you're not careful in the stock market. You better believe it. It's dangerous territory, especially today. But cash is a safe bet. I'm telling you as a psychic, as a remote viewer, get into cash and watch that market tumble. It's coming, folks.
Aaron, if I can ask you real quick, now, explain this to me. Educate us here a little bit, because I've actually heard the opposite on this. I've heard that the value of the American dollar is actually declining, and people are saying invest in gold. So,
oh yeah. Well, this is a transient moment. This is a time in which gold is not a good idea, and the dollar is a good idea. If you're looking at the situation, which is very unstable in Europe right now, we're expecting Europe to default. Okay, those of us who invest, we're just waiting for this. Just folks, just get it over with. You know it's going to happen. Let it happen. And when it does, because right now there's all these questions of confidence. We have no confidence. You think about the dollar. You're right. It isn't been as stable as you would like. But if you look at the recent legislation concerning currency between China and the United States, you know where that's going.
Right.
Guess what? If you're an investor, you're looking at the safest, strongest place to put your money. And right now, it's nowhere in the markets. And gold is unstable. I believe gold is a bubble. Yeah, its fundamental supports are not there. It's irrational. It's an irrational investment, no matter how you look at it. You can't eat gold, folks, when you're hungry, okay? Bottom line. And the dollar is based upon trust. Do you believe the dollar is worth anything? Collectively, does planet Earth believe the dollar is worth anything? Well, if they do, then they believe it's worth more than the yen. They believe it's worth more than the euro. So this is what I'm talking about. Now is a very good time to get into the dollar, but don't stay there. Move your money out and get into investments when the market bounces. No matter how bad things are, there will always be a stock market. There will always be trade. It's fundamental to human behavior. It's not going away. You'll always be able to make money in the markets. But the future is chaos. And from chaos is born order. And if you're in tune with this, using psychic functioning, you will be able to pick those sweet spots and invest and then get out. And that's just the way it is. It's a survival tool. And it's about information. And it applies to everything in life. If you know where that sweet spot is in life, you jump in on that opportunity. 90% of success is being prepared for this. The other 10% is opportunity. Seizing the day, carpe diem. You got to seize the moment. You got to be right there for this. And when you do, it'll pay off for you more often than not. If you have the preparation, and that involves learning how to use your brain in this way.
So, Aaron, I obviously you're pretty sound as far as the stock market is concerned. Do you do more day trading or long-term trades? What do you recommend? I mean,
I'm out of the market right now. I've got a couple of long-term investments, but I am out of the market right now. I'm looking at the market. It's very unstable. I think it's going down. Okay, and that's just a short-term look. But right now, I'm in cash. I moved everything out of gold. I'm in cash. Stay there, folks. I did it. That doesn't mean you should do it just because I did it. But with my kind of track record, it's probably a good idea. And if you talk to your broker, you'll find a lot of other investors are doing the same thing. And this isn't a case where you want to be on the same side of the boat with everybody. This just makes good sense. We're just waiting for the economic crisis that we're facing right now to become solid, because right now there's no confidence. There's nothing but questions about where this is going to go. That's very, very bad territory for investment. That just makes no sense. Remember, if you look at the numbers out there, we can get into the mathematics here. We can get into all kinds of very interesting, solid figures. They're all very, very grim. And, you know, economists, it takes about 18 months for these major numbers, these sources of information to really solidify and allow economists to really get a good picture of where we are as in totality as a whole. And right now, we've gone through an 18-month period in which we're absolutely certain that we are circling the drain, folks. We are going down badly. And there's no way out. And I'm telling you that this isn't just coming from me as a psychic. I've been saying it since 2008. It's going to be a slow downward spiral since we elected President Obungle in the White House. And so, and I mentioned that during his inauguration, that he would suffer from terrible economic woes, and this would not recover. And all but one of his plans would fail. And that includes his jobs bill. I'm saying that only one plan would be successful, and he would not be reelected. And I know who's going to be reelected in this place. I use this information source called non-historical information. I use a technique to access information, and right now I know who's going to be the next president and why. And I know that the current president, why he has failed. And I know why he was elected to begin with. But anyway, back to the economy, I just want to warn folks that things are going to get very, very bad. It's going to get bad for you personally. You know, and here in New York, I'm looking at, these protesters who shut down the bridge, and I feel sorry for them because they're so confused. They don't even know what they're protesting. They're frustrated. They're young. Many of them are college grads. And they're beating these plastic drums. You know, you've seen the scene. A bunch of opium-smoking hippies, wannabes, thinking that they're going to change the world, And I can tell you, they're completely confused, deluded, and out of it. They're going after the banks when they should be going after the policy makers who screwed us up to begin with. And I don't see them protesting the $4 trillion price tag for the cost of war. The bogus war in Afghanistan and Iraq. That has cost us, folks, now over $4 trillion. Our children's children are going to be paying for that, if it's even possible to pay for this.
Right.
We have bankrupted ourselves with these bogus wars. And we haven't gained any oil from this, which is a matter of national security for the way of life that America set up after World War II. We have urban city. We have urban centers. We have places, centralized food distribution. We have to travel a long ways. We built urban areas for people to live. We built areas where people have to travel a long way to work. This is a commuting society, and America is a big place. And so we're doomed to use oil and to use automobiles. We don't have mass transit systems. They're not even practical to build them here because it's such a vast country. And we have this centralized food distribution system. We have mass transit everywhere just because of the way we built our country after World War II. And the way we expanded was insane. It's based upon oil economy. It's an oil-based economy that we live in.
Yeah, I agree.
Oil is a matter of national security. It's why we're that's why we're destroying ourselves. economically in these wars, and we're going nowhere. We're
Right.
not gaining oil.
Well, Aaron, we're going to go ahead and run to the bottom of the hour break. Interesting stuff. We'll get some more into the stock market here when we come back in just a minute. But everyone, you're listening to Aaron C. Hanson tonight. Check him out at propheticlight.com. We'll talk some more with Aaron here in just a moment. Stay tuned. And welcome back from the break. It's 35 minutes past the hour. Joining us tonight, Aaron C. Hanson. Make sure you check him out at propheticlight.com. Talking about some interesting stuff tonight. Stock market, the economy. We're going to get into the 2012 presidential elections. All kinds of great stuff tonight. But Aaron, before we ran to the commercial break there a few minutes ago, you were talking a little bit about the stock market. And I asked you, as soon as we went to break, I assume what you're alluding to here is the fact that it's going to eventually crash.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to say that indeed we have a very bad situation here globally. And it's not just our markets here. America has the strongest market in the world. We have the strongest economy in the world. I don't care what anybody says. This great country, we've got some might here, and it remains. And this is one of the reasons why the whole world turns to the U.S. dollar for investments, why it's so strong, and it will be strong in the next few months as things coalesce, especially in Europe. Now, we know that Germany's not going to let too much happen because it's in their best interest to support Europe. But that's only going to last so long. There's only so much that can be done to support a failing system. The entire system in the world is extremely stressed. Now, what I see as a psychic and as a remote viewer is I'm seeing patterns of information that allow me to ascertain what a future is in the world or the global trading system, the global market. And right now I'm saying get into cash no matter what. Get into U.S. dollars. Get there. And what I'm saying is that I believe that a market crash is highly probable. Not right now. Right now it's a slow downward spiral. Now, you take yourself back to the election of President Obungle. I remember during the time of the inauguration. Did I call him a bungle again? I've been doing that so often. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
I really meant to say that, actually. But if you go back to the very time of his inauguration, I did a radio program in Canada where I simply said that the market is going to turn down, and it's not going to recover. And we're in a psychological stage of death called denial. The whole world is in denial. You're looking at your mortgages upside down. You're looking at people in the street. You'll see people in Walmarts all over this country. I travel everywhere. And I have never seen so much homelessness and despair and suffering right now. And it's only getting worse. And I know because I travel all the time. And I see it getting worse year after year. And what I'm saying is that we are in for it, folks. That when President Romney this is who your next president is going to be, he's going to inherit a problem that's only going to get worse. Now, here's the thing. He's a great administrator. And right now he's being paired off against Herman Cain. Now, that's a temporary thing, and the reason that's done, it's no accident, folks. Let me tell you, Herman Cain, you think about his last name, Cain. And he's talking about he's talking about his business ideas. He's talking about what his name means, really, in reference to the Mormon question of the curse of Cain. Now, it's no accident that his name is Cain. He was pitted against this candidate for a reason, to help vent this out early. And once we're over this period by which this from the subconscious mind is going to percolate up into a conscious media forum all over the world, this is going to come up. I'm just telling you ahead of time why Herman Cain is there to confront Mitt Romney. It's because of the curse of Cain as per his Mormon religion, the early days of Mormonism, early days by which, Joseph Smith classified the African people as the seed of Cain. This is a very controversial thing. And it wasn't until 1978 that things have radically changed. Now, today the Mormon Church does not condone any kind of separation or oppression of any race, of any kind. It's actually doing very, very well. The Mormon Church of today, the LDS Church of today, is nothing like it was in its history. And so it is unfair to make that comparison from the church today to what it once was under, say, Joseph Fielding Smith, which was once the president of the LDS Church, in which I just gave you a quote. And this particular thing is very sticky for this election. And so you think about it, folks, this election is fixed. This is all done on purpose. In other words, you had no choice in 2008 with the first Cain, which was McCain, insane McCain. This guy was unelectable. And so you had to choose between this guy and a slightly more rational President Obungle, and who was there because of Oprah Winfrey and all the hopium smoking, people expecting to get taxpayer spare change, all this stuff, all this nonsense. You got this rock star in the White House, and he's not doing anything for your economy. He's not doing anything for you. But he made you feel good, didn't he? Isn't that sort of the way, it works for certain sectors of our world here, where they think if you just will something, if you think positive, put rainbows on everything, it'll just turn out to be happy, and that's just not reality. The reality is we need a fiscally responsible leader, and the powers that be are putting that kind of person in the White House as an emergency. You have no choice in 2012, any more than you had a choice in 2008. Where's Kucinich in 2008? He was the only one with the right policies and the right thinking to get us out of this mess to where we are now. He fit that mold for that particular time. Today, it's a Ron Paul who fits the mold for our particular time. He's the only man with the right ideas to get us out of this mess. That's why I'm saying that our economy is circling the drain, because we're getting an administrator who's brilliant, who's very well versed in government, and he knows how to run government. Mitt Romney will be an excellent president. However, he's just going to administrate the mess that we're in.
Yeah.
He's not going to be creative to get us out of it the way Ron Paul is.
So
you're being forced to vote for him, is what I'm saying. You're being forced to vote for this. There's no election in 2012. None at all. It's a scam. There's no such thing as an election. And this whole idea where you have Cain running up against Perry in Florida was meant to embarrass and to remove Perry from the equation and to confront early in the stage this issue over the early Mormon Church because of his name. He's calling some of his plans the Cain doctrines. Why do you think Herman Cain is doing this? He's doing it because this is not a direct attack upon the one chosen to be in the White House in 2012, but a way of softly venting this out. It's a way of testing the waters. Now, here's something very important that we must know about our next election. We're going to have the first Mormon in the White House. And here's the thing. This is... You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. What was that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have that beep from our end, Aaron.
Okay. All right.
I think you censored yourself there.
We're going to have the first Mormon president, and novelty stimulates. We have the first black president. These two novelties are paired together in the minds of the voters. We are being manipulated in voting. We think we have free will here. We do not. Mark my words. President Romney has already been chosen in the way that President Obama was chosen during before the 2008 elections. There was no choice. And here we are again. I'm seeing the patterns. And, we haven't had a real president since Kennedy. We haven't. But this time it's so blatant and so obvious. You think about the name Cain. How does someone with that name go so far so quickly? Sure, he's a very successful man. He's very smart. Everybody loves him. How does someone like that go so far? There's no such thing as coincidence. And there's no conspiracy. There's only stupidity and manipulation of the masses. I say, people, it's time for us to wake up and pay attention to this. And I think that President Romney will be a good president, and we've got to support him. However, there's a reason why we vote for him. And it cannot be because we are so disappointed in President Obama that we start to hate him because of the color of his skin. If we vote for President Romney because of this hidden hatred, this hidden disappointment that turned to hatred, that turned ugly against the color of Obama's skin, that is spiritually going to stop any success that President Romney will have. We are spiritually on the wrong path. We're spiritually a dumb nation. We need to wise up and become smart here. Now, I make a little distinction between spirituality and psychology. What I'm saying is that I believe that we need to spiritually vote for Romney for the right reasons. If we vote for him because we say he's a good president, then he will get the right spiritual support. If we vote for him because we hate Obama, this is going to impede his success overall. Spiritually, as a nation, it will impede our overall success in the world. I believe that we have a chance here. Even though the system is broken, you're not really voting. You don't really have a choice. You're not really voting for who you think you are. You don't have a choice. If you did, Ron Paul would be up there for these ideas. You'd hear about Kucinich in 2008 election. You'd hear about Ron Paul today. These are the two polar opposites that were required to get us out of this mess. That's not going to happen. Right now, it's fait accompli. It's over. President Romney is coming in, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you're being played, folks. We are all being played, and there's no real election. It's over. Now, we got to deal with what we have, and I think this first Mormon president will be a very good one. He's going to administrate this mess we're in. We need to support him. Most definitely need to do that, because it's good for America, great country, and it's all we got. Now, maybe we can fix things in the future once we're conscious of this. We can become aware of these patterns, as I am. It's just so blatant. What are the chances, like I say, that Herman Cain would come around and refer to himself or his ideas as the Cain doctrines? Why is that just coincidence? No such thing. That is on purpose to manipulate you and me into venting this whole issue of the Mormon Church's history, which is its history, not today. I've lived with Mormons, and I can tell you what it's going to be like to have a Mormon president. I've actually lived out west with Mormons all around me, and believe me, at first when you step into that world, you're like, wow, white picket fence, wow, clean, everything, very orderly, and what you might consider to be decent and organized. Like you perceive this fellow with perfect hair, like a mannequin with perfect hair, and the jib. This guy's got the jib for the job. And the thing about it is he even looks like a Mormon. And the thing about it, there's nothing wrong with that. I live with the Mormons, and they are the most peaceful, the most quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They do not gossip. I love the Mormons. I love them. You know what kind of person I am. I mean, I'm a controversial psychic, from hell. We're talking, I'm the kind of guy, I'm always inventing stuff. You might see cloudbusters just because it's a joke. Sticking out of my backyard. You never know what I'm up to next. And the thing about it is Mormons just take this in stride. They've been very kind and friendly and understanding. And let me tell you, the best neighbors I've ever had in my life have been the Mormons. This is the kind of president we're going to have in the White House next. You're going to love the guy. He's not all exciting the way you might expect a rock star like President Obama to be. He's not going to be that to you. People aren't going to faint and clap for him when he walks into an audience. He's an administrator. He's a brain. And he's going to do a good job for America. And the thing about it, we're stuck with him. Okay? The media's got us wrapped around its finger, and that's who's going to be elected to fix this mess or keep it going. And this is on the side of big business. This is on the side, and there's nothing wrong with that, because from big business, there'll be a lot more jobs out there for people like you and I. This is going to trickle down, but right now it's broken. And so it's going to be fixed, folks, and it's going to take a while, but before that happens, you're going to see Europe default, and you're going to see our markets and our economy circle the drain. And I'm going to, like I see, some people say, are we in a recession? Are we in a depression or not?
Yeah, a good question. What is it?
Yeah. Do you feel like you're in depression?
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, Aaron.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's kind of a haze, but I'm saying it'll get so bad that you're going to know. You're going to know that something's wrong, and you're going to wonder where you're going to be able to get food next. And your only solace is going to be that friendly face, you know, in displayed in media, and that's President Romney. And he's going to direct us out of this mess. But we are going down into a very deep mire and mess. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And like I said in 2008, this sure looks like a depression to me. I'm going to call it what it is, and it looks like a depression to me, and it feels like a depression when I go way into the future, and I say 2014 is going to be the bottom. It won't get any worse than that. It could get worse if the virus hits us, and that's another story that I want to talk about here, too.
Now, which virus are you referring to? Because I actually heard a clip. You know, one of the things, Aaron, that Gary and I did, we actually did a show on this just the other night, was backwards tracks. And you're probably familiar with some of the works of David John Oates.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You know, his research is controversial. And, you know, as far as when you reverse it, you know, is there some type of imprinted message, you know, subconsciously imprinted on a voice? You know, EVP does this sometimes. You know, and Gary and I have kind of gone back and forth about it, but I've heard, and I've actually got one of these clips from one you had done in 2007 from the swine flu, you know, before the swine flu ride. And it's actually quite interesting, Gary. We'll roll this here, you know, in the second hour, but it's interesting stuff to say the least.
Yeah, I nailed that one accurately, to say the least. It was amazing how I really got that one almost to within the month, I believe, of the prediction. And this is something that I'm keenly aware of and very much concerned for. And I believe that a virus, and I'm going to talk about what's going on here in terms of non-local communications. You know, human beings, a lot of people are not going to like to hear this, but I'm telling you, human beings are the result of evolution. And in terms of the primordial soup, I'm telling you, we're from bacteria, and I would say the ratio of bacteria to human cells is about 1 to 10. For every cell, there's 10 bacteria, and I'm telling you, we're made up of this stuff. And blood types, if you think about the blood type, AB negative and so on, that's an example of what I'm talking about, and proof that we come from a certain area, and we come from these bacterial cells. And you think about it, the virus is responsible for our evolution. And I want to talk about how it is that communications can occur on a certain level. And there is an optimum trajectory that I remote viewed for the planet Earth. I did one for Mexico. I was asked to remote view the optimum trajectory for Mexico. And I was asked to do one for Spain. And I recently did this one on my own as an optimum trajectory for the human race for planet Earth. What would be the best thing to create an optimal future for us? And folks, you're not going to like this one. You're not going to like it. It involves not just a virus to take us down in numbers, but there's a number of other things that are going to take us down. And the virus is just one of the many problems that you could probably see within the next administration, if not sooner. And the virus I'm talking about is something that I believe pressures are allowing for right now in nature. We are headed for a microbial nightmare, if you will, that you can't hide from. You can't go into the mountains and create a sterile bubble around yourself, get away from populations. It won't work that way. Nobody can hide from this. We're all, it's a crapshoot. We're all destined to get exposed to something like this, and it's coming for us. And I believe that there's another wave called killing tide that's coming for the human race. And unless we reduce human population, according to my data, by 2/3, we will all face extinction. We are having way too much impact on the planet. I realize it's become a policy amongst certain politicians to believe or not believe in global warming. That was never a political issue before. It was always a scientific issue. I'm sticking to science. the data is in, the facts are in. Our ecosystem, our life support system for the human race and other biological systems is failing miserably. We are going down and we are stressed globally. We're running out of water, running out of resources, and there are too many people, and the industrialization that's a result of overpopulation of the human race. Don't blame me, I'm just the messenger. This is the thing I'm getting from my data. Please, folks, I know you hate to hear this, but you need to stop having children, because if you do, this child is going to curse you for their very existence, because things are not going to get better before they, they're just not going to get better. Ecologically, we're going down. And the air is not going to get any cleaner. It's not going to get any better for us, ever. We've destroyed so much of the delicate balance of our ecosystem that we are going down. And the virus has an ultimate goal. You know this thing communicates? And I'm not kidding you, it does. I found a source of communication by which these organisms communicate collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that, now sirens are going on outside. It's weird. I hope you folks can't hear that. There's like an air raid siren going on outside.
They're hearing your material, Aaron. It's all good.
Yeah.
Just duck here in a few minutes.
It really does. It goes with it.
We'll let you know when to duck. It's all right.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that there's back to this fact that it's coming for us. These stressors are there. And there's a killing tide coming from the human race. And it's coming from two sources. One, we can do something about. It's called bioterror. And yes, it's not that difficult to do. It's called the poor man's atom bomb. This is something that we can do. We can do something about this. Under President Romney, most definitely this thing will be watched. And when it comes to I predict as well that when it comes to the technology, when it comes to the information source that can be gleaned from remote viewing and beyond, I believe that some of us will be tapped by this new administration. Now, I remember when President Ŭφιοῦχος first said about the Reagan administration, he said, well, we're not going to have, what did he say? He called it Ouija boards. We're not going to have seances in the White House, quote unquote. And it was so offensive to Nancy Reagan and to the Reagan folks. It was unbelievable, because I come from the Reagan era, from that whole ultra top secret remote viewing spectrum of information. I was that's essentially what produced me. I'm the byproduct of that. I came after that and was trained by those people directly involved in that whole arena under President Reagan. And that was a great time for the United States, and we had great intelligence. We were exploring all different means of gaining information. And then it just halted. Remember, I was the guy. I was the one remote viewer. I'm a prodigy. Everybody knows it, and they hate me too because I'm so controversial. I was the one, by the way, with witnesses, including Ed Dames, Major Dames. And FM Bonds, all the rest. I was the one who remote viewed 9/11, and nobody listened. Fact. Can you imagine what kind of world we would have right now if somebody listened to me? If somebody listened to me about the Twin Towers of New York being attacked as the next probable event, newsworthy event, and that was a few months before 9/11 hit when we could have done something about it. Yes, it was remote viewed. Yes, I was right there, and I did it, and I have the data, and I have the witnesses, and the proof. And think of how different our world would be today. We would not be in $4 trillion debt because of bogus wars after that incident right now. Those towers would not be down if someone had listened to the psychic. So, President Ŭφιοῦχος, you would have been far better off having seances in the White House, you better believe it, because you could avoid the mess you're in right now, buddy.
All right.
The next guy in the White House is going to be tapping on us. We're going to get tapped. I know it.
Okay, Aaron.
The LDS Church believes in this stuff.
This is great. Yeah, very controversial, Aaron, but it's great. I'm loving it. Fantastic stuff. Everyone, you're listening to Aaron C. Hanson. Make sure you check him out at thepropheticlight.com. We come back to the commercial break. We're going to talk some more with Aaron. We're going to get into, we still got a whole wealth of things to talk about with you tonight, Aaron. So we got another hour here coming up, everyone. If you want to call in with any comments or questions, I see a lot of... there's a lot of controversy going on even in our chat room tonight. 615-866-1323 or toll free to 888-375-3123. feel free to call in and speak your opinions. We'd love to debate this with you. So everyone, stay tuned. And welcome back from the commercial break. It's 5 minutes past the hour. You're listening to another episode of Pop Odyssey Radio tonight. Our guest, Aaron C. Hanson. Make sure you're checking him out at thepropheticlight.com. All kinds of great stuff, interesting things, forecasts, futurists, predictions. I mean, a number of different things. It's controversial for a lot of people, but I think it's interesting as hell. So, Aaron, excellent job there the first hour. We're going to get into some more really good stuff here the second hour. And I think you want to get into a little bit of 2012 and the Serpent Bearer a little bit. Are we going to talk about that this hour?
Oh, absolutely. And, thank you. And when it comes to this, I get more questions about this than just about anything else. Because people think, the world's going to end, Nostradamus.
Oh, yeah.
The eight-wheeled spoke, and the alignment, the center of the universe, which, by the way, this is the center of the galaxy in reference, not the universe. There is no center of the universe. There really is none. That's a conceptual thing. It's an idea that essentially, the center's nowhere, And whereas if you're referring to, let's say, if you're looking at the possibility of the Hindu god Shiva, then you're talking about the center being nowhere. But it's still primarily, and it's closer to Ωπιοῦχος, as you can imagine. It's very close to the center of our galaxy and the alignment. And by the way, the alignment's already happened. We're pretty close to this, and it happens around, I think, sometime around 2011 to 2014. Check me if I'm wrong on that, but it isn't exactly 1 day or 1 hour. However, there is a peculiar kind of alignment that occurs in December in 2012. And this is the thing that people are often confusing with the Mayan calendar. They're confusing this with the prophecies of Nostradamus and so on. And I can tell you that Nostradamus was completely wrong. I know that people don't like to hear this, but Nostradamus was actually terrible at predicting the future. And we're only using our imagination to fill in the blanks for which Nostradamus required within his quatrains, and he got a few things right, And now I know as an experienced psychic that when you first start out looking into probability, when you start looking at possibilities, and you bridge the gap between that and probability and what you're seeing in terms of a future, for example, President Romney, you have to take into account all sources of information, historical and non-historical. And with time, you get better. When you start out, you're always going to make a few mistakes, and it's the violation of expectation that allows us to learn. We get better, and that's a process. And this is what I teach. I teach people to do what I'm doing. And when you start out, you're not going to be as good as I am. And hopefully, I'll find somebody who will outdo me. That's the goal of any teacher. But in the process, you're not going to have a hit 100% of the time. In the case of Nostradamus, he didn't know what he was doing. And he had such a short time to really formulate his ideas under incredible pressures. Remember, you'd be burned at the stake during his time if you're caught doing this. So this is why he hid this in quatrains. And so there was a good reason for this guy to make a lot of mistakes. And I can tell you that he wasn't that great at predicting the future. He just happens to be a point of focus because a lot of people are making a lot of money on books on Nostradamus and filling in the blanks using imagination and sometimes erroneous facts, they call facts, to help support what Nostradamus could have been seeing. Now, without context, he wasn't seeing very much, let me tell you that. And as far as comparison between Nostradamus and what I'm doing today, there is no comparison because I'm teaching you to do this. And the only way you're going to understand this, the only way you're going to really appreciate the power within your own mind is to learn it from me, to learn this and teach your friends. Do it for free. Just pass on the information because it's a survival tool. It helps you make better decisions about the future, which is the point of looking at the future. Now, there's no such thing as precognition. What I'm really saying is something radical here. What I'm saying is guess what? There's nothing new under the sun. And where have you heard that before? Have you heard that in the Bible? Here in the United States, we have the Western Esoteric tradition. We have Christianity, which is in the vernacular what you have to deal with. Now, if I were in the Muslim world, I would be dealing with, the Quran and so on. And so here, I'm going to use that because that helps explain something very profound. There is nothing new under the sun. What am I suggesting? Where am I getting this information? Let's go back to the lottery. For 100 games, I tested my ideas out before a producer in Japan, Tokyo, Japan, for 100 Japanese numbers 3 games. And let me tell you, I beat the odds. And in each time, I knew when exactly to invest. And I noted, this is where you invest. The data is clear, the noise is low, and this is a high degree of probability of winning today. And I'm telling you, I beat the odds nearly every single time. And overall, I beat the odds of winning the lottery. Now, if I can see numbers, if I can win the lottery consistently, what does that tell you? It tells you that those numbers don't come from precognition. They're already there. Now, that's a shocking assumption. But it's a more valid assumption than saying that somehow I either had direct influence and created the numbers. A lot of people in the thinking of quantum mechanics and so on are thinking, yes, I had that influence. There's that beeping again. That's really weird, isn't it? Are you getting that? Whenever I talk about stuff, it gets really deep.
We heard it, but it doesn't come out on our... I mean, it's nothing from
good.
our end.
All right, it's coming out here. It's really weird.
Well, yeah, we heard it, but it's nothing from our end, so we're not censoring you, Aaron.
Okay. Okay, this thing, hey, cut that out. Quit talking about that. You're disturbing us. But with when it comes to... that really did disturb me, actually. How strange that is. Well, isn't that something? Anyway, back to numbers.
Well, it's a first.
These
I'll give
numbers
you
are
that.
already there, and it suggests a simulation, doesn't it? Now, when you think about it, why not? Why not, folks? Why not? What if this was a simulation? Right now, we are building computers and computer systems, and you got the Blue Brain Project. We got an interest in developing a neural net. We're starting to think about building the mind instead of a brain, a system that would emulate the mind rather than the brain. We know that eventually the sun will expand, and we've got to leave the physical body. And to have, any kind of information system resembling us, it has to be in totality. So that means these grains of information can be... Essentially, we can transfer consciousness eventually. We will be able to transfer the human mind, the brain, the way it functions. You might think of it as, hardware. And the software is what's happening right now. I'm changing the way you look at things, no matter what. In fact, you're hearing this, you're getting programmed. And when you talk to me, you're programming me, and we're interacting and so on. Now, the thing is, why is it so improbable, so impossible to imagine a simulation? Why are those numbers there? This explains the UFO phenomenon. You can put your hand through this. We have no physical evidence of UFOs, period. I don't care what anybody says. I've looked at this, and I'm the best remote viewer out there. I've looked at everything that might be hidden regarding UFO technology. It does not exist in the physical realm. There is no reverse engineering of anything whatsoever. This is stuff that appears in our skies, and you can put your hand through it. And let me tell you, the out-of-body experiences, the whole association seeing the alien heads and things like this coming at you, there's nothing physical there. It's not physical. Guess what? We may not be physical. And the machines that are communicating, if they are, may be the real thing. What if President Kennedy, this is something to think about, what if he had a picture of the Washington monuments, the stone faces, which would last a very long time? What if he had a picture of that with dust covering partly the lens from something? What if he had a picture of that showing no trees, an atmosphere which was all red? What if he had a picture of this? Would he not wonder before he went to the Vatican? Would he not wonder where that came from? What if he had a picture of the Earth from the moon? Would he have a few questions? Anyway, that's a very odd thing to think about. That's right before Dallas. Something to think about, folks.
Yeah,
you can well view it. I have the data and the numbers, and this is real scary stuff. What if it's a simulation? What if we are building a machine right now in which we might one day, as the ultimate nexus of the human race, see itself within the simulation? And what if this simulation is giving you every excuse in the world to think it's being shut down for other reasons, other than the fact that it's being systematically shut down? What if the viruses which were involved, you think about the bacteriophage, this thing is a machine. What in nature has right angles like that? And it looks very much like the spider gods, the pre-Columbian spider gods, and it's associated with Ωπιοῦχος, the Serpent Bearer. Now that serpent, if you look at the story, probably I believe in the mythology we look at Tiresias, who eventually was blinded by another god form when he came across the question of sexuality. Now, why sexuality? Doesn't that make you uncomfortable? Well, don't worry, folks. I'm not going to talk. Let me tell you, it's because of the association with the twin serpents, human DNA. Basically, this particular, in mythology, the story goes where you had the question, I believe it was by Zeus. The question was, which enjoyed sex more, men or women? And the prudishness of the other god form said that this was not true. And you think about it, they went to the wisest man known. And his wisdom, of course, you see the twin serpents, which is associated with wisdom. You look at the twin serpents that were mating, and he referred to this particular situation where he observed the serpents mating, and being curious, he poked them. And as a punishment, Tiresias was transformed into a woman. And then, years later, he came across the same twin serpents mating again. He poked them again, and he became a man. And then the question came up, who has the most fun during sex? Of course, the answer by Tiresias was women. And that's when this androgynous figure was blinded by the prudish one. And so this is the embodiment of Ωπιοῦχος, mythologically, as we know it today. This is associated with Hindu god Shiva, the destroyer and the creator, which also is girded with the serpents. And if you go to the pre-Columbian spider woman, which is also related to Hopi spider woman, as opposed to the Blackfoot spider man, and this is very interesting. You think about spiders and their web, and you think about the galactic center and the 8-spoked wheel. Now I want you to put yourself into the pre-Columbian spider woman and the double helix, all right? The Watson Crick kind of, they picked up on this, and this is DNA. This is the way it's essentially wound together. If you look at the virus and you look at the bacteriophage, this thing, this machine, I call it a machine, is somehow programmed. It made us from bacteria, from the primordial soup. It made us. It literally made us. It was part of our evolution. It wasn't just that we come from chimpanzees. No. That was just a period by which we are most familiar along this pathway of evolution. No. This thing, this virus, made us. It was programmed to do this. What if this simulation was involved on that level, programming these things on some very strange way, some strange form of communication, systematically made us from that primordial soup? Because I'm telling you, this thing acts like a machine, and if you look at what our ancestors were imagining in their mythology, very, very powerful, very important. You look at the spider gods, the pre-Columbian spider god, spider woman. Her head is depicted with the entwined serpent, human DNA. And she is literally perched upon the waters with the stem beneath her, with, like a spider, appendages reaching out. Now you think about the bacteriophage.
Mm-hmm.
In its head is human DNA, the double helix, the entwined serpent. And perched upon the foot of this very important bacteriophage, phage, I'm sorry, I mispronounced that, are the spider legs. This thing looks exactly like a spider. So whatever the ancients were divining, as they were closer to the earth than we are today, we've lost our path. We've left the garden a long time ago. We're lost. We have no idea what nature is. But our ancients were still connected with the nature. They were nature worshipers, and they were getting information, gleaning it from nature. And I can tell you that they, in their visions, were seeing the bacteriophage. And it's depicted in their glyphs, in their drawings, and in their ideas, in their mythology. It's depicted everywhere. Cross-culturally, you're seeing how human beings were formed from the creator god, be it Shiva, be it the spider god, the spider woman. She's perched in a web. And you see how this relates to the serpent, Ωπιοῦχος, the time 2012 that's coming up right now. It's a transitory time. I say the only world that will end in 2012 will be the world for the liberals, who, by the way, are expecting a bungle to be reelected. The world's not going to end, folks. Only for the liberals. When a Republican President Romney is elected. But I can tell you that in 2012, it's just a transitory period. It's a time of decision for all of us collectively. We are going to awaken to some ideas regarding where we come from, the meaning of life, and where we should go from here on a dying planet. I said, folks, our planet is dying. We need technology. We need information. We need to get together and stop this pettiness, or we're all going extinct. And the virus, as I said before, is key to reducing human population numbers. Not that it will be selective. It doesn't work that way. That if there's a way to communicate, if there is, I'm saying if, I'm not saying there is, if there's a way to communicate, maybe prayer, whatever it takes, we've got to stimulate this thing or interact with this thing in such a way that created us from the primordial soup. What is behind the virus? I don't know. What is behind the simulation, if it exists? I don't know. But what if there was a way to solve the human problem of overpopulation, overindustrialization, pollution? Look, I don't care what anybody says. You can save all the beer cans or whatever it is you can have. You think you're gonna save the earth by, I don't know, beating plastic drums, walking on Wall Street. I don't know, whatever you think. It's not going to work. Okay, there are too many people. And even though per capita pollution is down because of technology and awareness, because there are more people than ever before in human history, pollution rates are way up, off this chart scale. The industrial demand, the industrialization, the demand there to keep the human race going is so great, it is destroying what there is left. We are dwindling in resources. We are destroying our planet with population numbers that it can't handle. We breached the human carrying capacity in 1985. Some dispute that, but it's only off by maybe a couple of years. That's about it. And I'm telling you, we are in big, big trouble. And the only way we can save ourselves if we have a drastic reduction in human population numbers. I'm just a messenger. Folks, don't blame me for this. This is an awesome trajectory. This is what I get, and this is what my students get when they remote view what to do globally about the ecological and economic and social problems before us. It all relates to overpopulation of human beings. This is something you're not going to hear anywhere in media. You've got to think before you have children. You got to think about what their future is going to be like. It's going to be terrible. It's selfish to have children right now. There's no point in having children. It doesn't help the human race. We've got to have a reduction in human being population. If we don't, we're doomed. And one of the ways we can do it, possibly, is to communicate with a virus so that it might change in such a way to create something with more latency, with something more virulent that can take us down in numbers quickly and without politics, without anyone blaming anyone else. And this is the best way to reduce human population, the most natural way to take us down, the way nature would do it anyway. We need the virus outbreak to reduce human population numbers by 2/3. We need this now, or we all go extinct. This is our only hope on planet Earth. We've got to reduce human population numbers, or we are going extinct, period, end of story. There's no argument there.
But realistically, Aaron,
every problem there is on the planet.
Realistically, though, do you actually see that happening, where we're going to reduce our numbers?
Either by war, by famine. We have diseases now that are affecting because of global warming. Our crop productions are way, way down, and they're being affected in different ways. You have bubbles opening up, like you might have in Africa. Of course, we know global warming is affecting the crop production. But we're seeing in the United States, the grain belt, the breadbasket of the world, we're starting to see problems with wheat rust and other ground-borne viruses, and it's causing yields to lower in certain areas, and every once in a while get an unusual rainy season somewhere else, or a dry season in another place. Mm-hmm. And these two are affecting crop yields dramatically. So it's hard to gauge how long this will take, but right now the world is facing global warming-related starvation, which could take up to 30 or 40 years to really realize how bad it is, or it might take 2 or 3 years of unusually bad weather around the globe, starting right now. And so we don't know how bad that's going to be. We just know it's bad right now. And so, on top of that, add to it a failing world economy. That, too, is adding stress on production and on technological advancements required to help feed the world. Again, this is a problem that can't be solved because we keep reproducing. And we're not going to stop doing it, and it's not going to stop overnight as it needs to. Zero population growth is not a realistic, I know a lot of people think if we just get the information out there and teach people to think before they have sex, then we can do, that's wrong. That's the same thing as saving your garbage and counting it out and recycling it, which does more damage to the ecosystem in most cases than anything else, like ethanol. What a joke that was from corn. And we just have to stop thinking like this and get to the core of the problem and stop reproducing. If we don't do this on a global scale, then a virus and a war and famine and pestilence and diseases that affect plants, including viruses, these microbes outnumber us, outnumber the biomass by the stages are outnumbering anything else on Earth in terms of biomass. Anything. They're everywhere. And they have a communication system that you can tap into, be it prayer. I don't know. I'm investigating how to do that now. But I believe there's a way to tap into this stuff, and maybe we can ask for help. We can ask for these viruses to rise up against us and non-selectively and ethically take us out in large numbers to save the majority. This is triage time. If you want to save us, you got to let most of us go. You got to take the few that can be saved, and that we can start over with. Because right now we're going down if we don't reduce human population numbers by 2/3.
Wow.
So our only hope is to pray for this. Our only hope is to think that we can't just wait. I think we have to interact with this. We have to get involved with this. And the more you communicate with this sort of thing, it's going to increase your chances of survival. So at the stock market, look for that sweet spot. Become familiar with how to use your own brain. We, from school, from birth, are not taught how to use our brains. We don't know how to use our brains. Somehow I slipped through this, and I knew how to use my brain, and I've been using it since birth. I didn't fit in with the society around me. I finally do now. I finally figured out how to use my brain in such a way to invest in the stock market, to get lottery numbers. Now I'm teaching others how to use their brain the way that I do, because my brain's just like yours. There's nothing special about me. Yeah, I'm very smart, yes. I'm a prodigy when it comes to psychic functioning, and I'm very, very, very eccentric out there in the world of other psychics. You better believe it.
Well, Aaron, we're going to go ahead and run to the...
for viruses to rise up and take 2/3 of the Earth's population.
You're most certainly eccentric there, Aaron. That's incredible stuff. I mean, this is one hell of a viewpoint, don't you think, Gary? I mean...
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really good. But everyone, you're listening to Aaron C. Hanson tonight. Make sure you check him out at thepropheticlight.com. We're going to run to the bottom of the hour break here real quick. When we come back, we'll talk some more with Aaron and get into a few more things. We've got about 30 minutes left with him, so we'll see what we can squeeze in here. Interesting stuff. Great job, Aaron. But we'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the commercial break. It's 37 minutes past the hour. You're listening to Aaron C. Hanson joining us tonight. Make sure you check him out at thepropheticlight.com. We got about 20 minutes or so left with Aaron tonight. So if anybody wants to call in, I know there's a lot of controversy going on, a lot of opinions being made tonight. But if you want to call in and share any of those with us, 615-866-1323 or toll free at 888-375-3123. Aaron, welcome back.
Hey, and I have a message of hope for people. I realize this has been a real kind of a very, very heavy thing to be dealing with, but there is a message of hope. While all things are happening, while the economy is circling the drain, while you're suffering, let me tell you, things are changing. And there's a new source of information that you can have access to. You know, I remember back in college, a professor told me, he said, Aaron, no matter what you do, two things. Stick around the smart people. Well, I've done that. I've eliminated all the toxic people from my life. And you have to do that. You have to do that or you're not going to be successful. And then you have to remember that you can't get information from a book. A book can only remind you of what you already know. Now this is an author of many of the biological books, the bonehead biological books that you get in Neurobiology 101, that kind of thing. So this particular person really, really just shocked me with that statement. And what does that mean? You can't get information from a book and only remind you what you already know. Well, guess what? That is so true. Folks, here is the hope for you. I have found a source of information that my brain is capable of using to I can beat the lottery. Okay? Now, as the economy falters throughout the world, gambling institutions increase. It becomes psychologically the last hope for most people. They dream about winning the lottery. They dream about doing this. Now, this is a work in progress. Eventually, I'll be able to take this technology to the world lottery and beat that eventually. Right now, I'm only good enough to beat daily 3 systems and sometimes daily 4 systems. 4 numbers. 4 numbers out of 10. Eventually, I'll be taking this much further. And that will probably require maybe 5-6 more years of research and toil. A lot of work. Right now, I can teach you how to beat daily 3 number systems, simple lottery systems. And you can do it to make a living, and you can survive on this. Because remember, no matter how bad things get, you can take this technology, and if your desire is there, if your will is there, and you have no other source of income, you can't put food on the table, you're not going to feed your pets, and you're desperate for this, I've got the hope you need. This is it. You can do this. I can do it. My brain is structurally no different than yours. And if I can prove it, and I have proven this, that it can be done, you can do it too. One of the things I'm going to be doing for a production, this coincides with something I'm working on in Japan. I won't talk about too much of this, but I've been on TVSI and a number of programs, but I can tell you that I am going to be moving into an area where I'm just going to live off of lottery. I'm going to test everything that I've been working on. I'm going to live off of lottery. I'm going to show you, folks, I'm going to show you how this is done. I'm going to pay my rent, pay my bills. I'm going to beat the lottery and live off of lottery. And this can be done. This can be done. It's very, very hard work. It's very difficult. and it's a part of your brain that you're not used to using. You know, if you haven't used these certain muscles in your body, you're going to have to become an athlete to use them to survive. That's not done overnight. It takes a lot of work to get there, but you can do it. My brain is no different than yours, and you can learn to do this. I know when people are desperate, when they're hungry, they either go to war, either rise up in herds and they go nuts, or the smart people, they start looking for alternative ways to put food on the table. Some people turn to violence or crime. You don't have to do that. That's unnecessary and unethical. This is how you do it. You learn how to communicate non-locally. You find that source of non-historical information that we all have an ability to access, and you use it to put food on your table. You're not going to get rich doing this because you're not that good. But you can make a living, and you're good enough to do that. And who knows, maybe we'll find the prodigy out there that'll help me get to that world lottery. I'm certain I'll get there eventually anyway. So I don't need that right now. I'm not really hungry for money. So that's not my aim in all of this. My aim is to teach you, and I think of these remote viewing pens, right, for accessing these numbers, as that spear set upon the chest of Caligula. Folks, when you access these numbers, you are changing the paradigm. You are changing the way you view the world. You realize that the impossible is possible, and all that you've been taught is wrong. And let me tell you, when you sit down and you remote view and you got your hand on that spear that's set upon the chest of Caligula, when you remote view, you are thrusting that in, and everyone else is doing it at the same time, the way the Senate did this. Rome. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's Rome going to do? What's it going to do? Is it going to arrest every senator that represents, that has a constituency that it represents? This is for you, the people. This is for you. And Caligula must die. Period. Caligula has to go. Now, what's Caligula? Look at the lie you're living. Look at the lie I'm living. Look at the lie that we are all living on this planet. Look at around you, everything, the banking system, all of it. Money, it's not real. It's a piece of paper that you have trust in. It's a lie, folks. It's all a lie, and it's all coming down around you. That's what all of this chaos is about. It's about a major change. Take yourself back to Ωπιοῦχος. We're going back to the source where we began, I believe. Not just mythologically, not just subconsciously or maybe even preconsciously. We're not just doing that. We're doing it on all levels. You've got to find a new way to communicate, or you're not going to survive this big change coming. These birthing pains, these birthing problems. The baby may not survive. The mother may not survive. We don't know. I know. I know it's possible. You are possible, and you can do well enough to get through this. But you got to learn how to use a part of your brain you've been told since birth, since childhood, didn't exist. That's why I'm the ultimate heretic, because I'm doing it, living proof of it. You can do this. You got to learn how to use this part of your brain and communicate in this way. It'll open the gateway to other forms of communication non-locally. And eventually, you know, the famous scene where you see the two brothers, you know, here in New York, two brothers sitting down on a park bench and they're texting each other. We are all using this technology right now that's filtered between each other. We are unplugging. We are tuning out. We're being told what to think and say and do. We are living a lie. It's all a lie, folks. Everything around you. Think about it. It's a lie. You're being lied to by your politicians. You've been lied to by your church leaders. You're being lied to from birth. And it's time that we wake up and just simply accept this and stop denying it. So, the way to find the truth, remote view it.
So,
Be
Aaron,
the heretic that I am. Believe me, it pays off.
Aaron,
I'm
curious what this technique is to, is there like an easy technique to like tap into these lottery numbers? Is it like an exercise, or is that typically done in like an instruction type setting? How do you typically show people how to do that?
It's a technique that I'm beta testing right now, and it is a secret. I'm the only one with it. You get a lot of people out there that are trying trying to emulate me, they're lying. They're full of it. You get people that will pay a bunch of money and put a couple of tickets online and say, look, I can do this. They don't know anything about my technique. I haven't taught anyone except for a few trusted people around me right now that are beta testing this technique right now. It'll soon be out, and what it is, you'll be the first to hear about it. Believe me, it'll be all over the internet, and I'll have a video showing me going to the lottery store, purchasing tickets, and viewing the numbers beforehand live with a newspaper there so nobody can fake this. And you'll see that this is absolutely real and undeniable, and you'll see me winning lottery doing this. And you need to see it before you believe it. You need to see me do this. I'm the master of this, and if I'm teaching it, I should damn well be able to do this. And so that's where I am different from the other viewers, the other remote viewers, who claim all kinds of stuff. Remember, I'm the first one to even come up with this. Now you got all kinds of nut jobs out there trying to take your money, folks. Don't fall for that. I'm the original. I'm the one with the secrets. I remember even Ed Ames tried to get the secrets from me. Never got it. His famous statement to me was, Aaron, friends don't keep secrets from friends.
Well, Aaron, if you ever run out of beta testers, Gary and I are always game for a challenge. So,
hey,
feel free to give us a call, buddy.
This is wide open. We're going to keep it going, and this is the future for all of us, and it's very interesting. It's not just about numbers. It's about accessing information that we wouldn't normally have access to. This goes way beyond remote viewing, and I'm the only one with these secrets, and I will be giving them out soon.
Fantastic. Well, that'll give us something to look forward to. Now, when you hit the lottery, Aaron, we're going to have to get you back on the show.
Yeah.
I've already hit it a number of times. I don't know. I can definitely do a live version of this, and I will be videotaping this and showing everyone on YouTube. That's coming up.
Fantastic.
So yeah. And I know that was I'm certain folks at Coast to Coast are going to like to see that, too, because it's one of the things requested. But you know what? If you're interested, if I'm getting a good response there, then I would certainly like to maybe, most definitely. Let's talk about how we can really show people this on your show sometime in the future if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, it'd be my honor.
Yeah, we'd have them tuning in by the masses, Aaron. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting stuff.
Caligula must die. The lie has got to go away. It's got to die.
Wow. I mean, this stuff, Gary, I don't even know where to begin on this. I mean, it's just so deep, so much of it. And, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about stuff that, I've never really gone in that direction with my thinking before. Not I guess exactly like Aaron's anyway. But it's interesting, and it's, I don't know, it definitely makes you take a close perspective of it.
Well, it's fascinating, and any time you learn anything new, I mean, it expands your consciousness, and that's definitely what we've done tonight. I've enjoyed this. I enjoy listening, and sometimes what we like, Aaron, is we don't like to always throw questions in or interrupt you, because you get on a roll, man. You do a great job, and I've just enjoyed listening to your thing, man. It's been great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a really nice thing to say, really. I don't mind the questions. I'm good with it, really. Just the beeping on my end, that was really strange, and the timing of that. Like I say, no such thing as coincidence, like Herman Cain showing up with the Cain doctrines. Folks, that's a hint. You're being messed with. That's not a real election. You're being goaded into something. You don't have a choice this election at all.
So we've got about 10 minutes left here in the show, Aaron. So if we can, real quick, I want to kind of get into this where you record yourself and put it back in. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and play your prediction from, let's see if I've got it on here. Well, I'm not sure what I did with it. Crap. I had one of your predictions earlier.
I know the one about Michael Jackson, which is very interesting. Michael Jackson is dead. That was a reversed speech, and that was done before his death. And I found that to be quite shocking, and that was exactly 3 months before he died. Now, I find that to be amazing, and it seems to be that's the target number, 3 months before something happens, I'm able to glean into something. So a lot of things I'm saying tonight, who knows what you're going to find. Play it backwards, folks, see what's going on.
Okay, well, I've got one of your files right here, Aaron. I'm going to go ahead and play this here real quick, and then to kind of explain it to us after we listen to it here.
6, and 6. Exactly 6. DCD today. Perhaps to the day. This is between opening get take reputation. Swine. Man in man, swines in man, man arrogant. It shall be released.
Okay, so
that's creepy.
So the
I was saying
that is creepy. Yeah,
there.
that's very creepy. And I'm used to listening to EVP that really don't bother me too much. But yeah, that's a little disturbing. Now, explain this. The first part of that was actually, are you in just a meditative state when that is recorded? I mean,
I'm in a trance.
Okay.
I'm literally in. I'm in a transitory state where I'm literally in a very deep trance where I'm barely able to stay awake. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually in a psychomatrium where I'm simply in a blackened room facing a reflective surface, very much like a giant scrying mirror, and I'm completely isolated from all EM field, from anything in the way. And sometimes, in case I need to, I'll play music in the background that I'm familiar with, and I'll play it over and over and over again, usually a segment. And then I'll go ahead and begin and communicate. Now, this isn't where I'm coming in contact with spirits, and and then telling the world what they have to tell us. That's nonsense. The dead, for example, have no lips. That's a bunch of nonsense. That whole business of talking with the dead and talking with spirits, nonsense. Spirits don't they communicate with us in vibrations or in tones, and very often. For example, just before this show, I had an infrasound dream. I usually have them, but this time was quite profound. And there was a spider-looking thing, very much like a phage, and it was holding a human skull. And the human skull was facing me. And there were entwined serpents beneath the skull. You know what? You should reverse that. I wonder what I just said. It was very interesting. So beneath the skull, there were entwined serpents. And so this particular dream really had a profound impact on me. I wasn't even thinking anything about this, but this kind of symbolism is powerful, and it has an impact on what I think. Now, most of the time, it's just mental defecation. You're getting rid of ideas and things that probably are in the way of constructive thoughts or something that you're doing the next day or something you're doing the previous day. But in this case, this is symbolism, and Carl Jung would have a field day with something like that. But in this case, I would say what I'm doing is I am doing, I guess you might say, scrying. I'm getting into a meditative state. In a transcendental state, I'm going very, very deep in the threshold of frequencies, of brain frequencies. I'm so familiar with where my brain is. I've been doing this for so many years. Right now, I'm actually in that trance state right now, and it takes a little while to come out of it, and often I'll repeat something when I'm in it too far, and then I'll come back out. So I may have repeated something while I was talking to you and wasn't quite aware of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. This is what I mean. And so when I'm in that state, I know it. And so this is when I begin to speak about some question that I have. I simply enter the black. I stay there, I remain there, I become an eye, simply observing. And I wait for something to be heard with my own ears. Essentially, I'm barely there. Barely there. So what you're hearing is from something very, very strange. And I'm doing my best. Sometimes I don't have constructs. I don't have any way to compare what I'm seeing or what I'm experiencing. And then I go too far. But in that case, I was just right. I was obviously hearing something and expressing something that you can hear in reverse from the subconscious.
Wow. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very, very impressive. That's.
It gets weird, like with the Jackson case. Like, I was really surprised by that. A fan sent that to me that they had reversed, and I couldn't believe it because it was almost exactly 3 months prior to Michael Jackson's death. Well, I tend to stay away from tabloid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, about a year ago, I do want to bring this up. I want to congratulate the Knox family. This poor Amanda Knox, she was clearly innocent. I remember about a year ago I was asked by a fan, was she, what's going on with her? Is she going to be put away for life and so on? And I don't know, if you've ever been to Italy, you know things move slowly and differently in that world. It's much older than our own. Remember, our country hasn't been around that long. This country goes way, way back. And their justice system is different, but it worked in the end. It prevailed. And really, the real problem concerned the court of public persuaded opinion against a liberated and highly intelligent, beautiful young woman. And everybody knows me; they know I love women. And believe me, I really felt for her. And I can tell you that this poor girl was innocent. I looked at her and I immediately knew she was innocent. Not because of anything else, because I am truly a good psychic, and I can tell you when someone's innocent or not. And this girl was completely innocent. And really, of course, when you have the court of public opinion, you're going to bring in the devil, pitchforks, and you're going to burn the heretic. And what else is jealousy for? Essentially, she was hanging out with one of their own sons, and the media got a hold of it, and they really went with it and prosecuted her. And she suffered. But look, the court systems can't be blamed in Italy. It's just the way they work. And it worked in the end. The appeals process took out all of the emotion and all of this problem with public opinion, and they looked at the facts, and it worked. So it doesn't work like ours. We have the best court justice system. Of course, I'm an American. I love my country. This is a great country. I'm glad to be here. I'm telling you, I'm firmly rooted here. And so I think that our court system is far better. Not perfect, but certainly far better. And the thing about poor Amanda, she's free now, and she really suffered for all these years. So congratulations to the Knox family. I don't like this tabloid stuff, but I remember about a year ago, I was asked if she would be free, and I have a blog here. I actually stated that she would be, she was most definitely innocent and would be set free slowly beyond the appeals. So that's quite a hit there about a year ago.
Right.
That's an example of something that I do, and I have many, many hits like that. But I generally stay away from tabloid stuff. I don't like it. That's just puff to me.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that case and the Jackson case kind of grabbed me in some weird way. Who knows how these pieces of the puzzle fit in? I don't know.
Well, very, very true. Well, Aaron, this has been fabulous tonight. We can't thank you enough for coming on with us. Now, real quick before we close off, do you have any upcoming events or other speaking engagements or anything you've got scheduled yet you want to pump out there?
Oh, wow. I'm to tell you what, right now, you got to pay attention to my website. I'm doing numbers, and you got to pay attention to YouTube. I'm coming out with a video of me viewing the lottery live. And you're going to watch me view this. You're going to watch me buy a ticket with a newspaper next to me. You're going to watch me get money for my winning ticket. No other psychic or remote viewer or anyone else in the world has ever done anything like this. You're going to watch for it on YouTube. And you go to my website. You go to the Odyssey Radio Show website, and you'll see a link there to my blog. And you can go from there. And I also have a popular MySpace account and other accounts that you can link up with at propheticlight.com. Go to the propheticlight.com and you'll be able to get these sites as well. And let's see, probably my Facebook site would be the best place to get me live every once in a while. But I have a MySpace site where I post numbers before they come out. And you might want to go there. Right now, I can't talk about my productions because you cannot talk about what's going on in Hollywood or what's going on in television. You can't do that because, and I want to, you can't. You know what it's like in show business. Somebody will steal it, or they'll pull the rug out from under you. So,
exactly.
Folks, stay tuned. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm finally. I rarely do interviews, so this is rare. And I'm coming out again, folks. And when you see me again, you're going to be entertained, whether you like it or not. I'm coming back.
Fantastic. So, well, yeah. Aaron, this has been great tonight. And everyone, you've been listening to Aaron C. Hanson tonight. Check him out at propheticlight.com. We'll be rebroadcasting this archive in about an hour. And make sure you tune in Thursday night when Christian Dion, psychic to the Stars comes back with his Live from Hollywood series Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. You want a good laugh, tune in to Christian Thursday night. But everyone, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you Thursday.
You've been listening to Pop Odyssey Radio on the Pop Odyssey Radio Network. Pop Odyssey Radio is a production of Pop Odyssey Entertainment. We'd like to thank the following parties for this live broadcast and those associated with the content provided by the Pop Odyssey Radio Network. Sound broadcasting software and licensing provided by celebrity psychic Ron Barr. Radio broadcasting servers provided by the Haunted Voices Radio Network. Web hosting provided by Bluehost Professional Web Hosting. Voiceover talents provided by Tammy Miller. Shows produced by R. Gary Patterson and Stephen Wren. Archives produced and edited by Adobe Audition, bringing you the ultimate solution in sound quality. Grab your copy at adobe.com. For more information on Pop Odyssey Radio, hosts, sponsors, or access to previously recorded archives, please visit popodysseyradio.com.